Yeah, a new case of sequelitis. You hate to see it, but it happens. So Shazam! Fury of the Gods is a sequel to the generally liked and loved by me, Shazam. Billy Batson and his siblings, they're rocking the powers of Shazam, otherwise known as powers of gods. They're out there saving people, but not so gracefully doing so. A lot of collateral damage. But now these goddesses known as the Daughters of Kronos, they've shown up. They don't like humans too much, so alright, they're gonna cause problems. New movie. Now, what I liked about this movie, I gotta give a special shout out to Jack Dylan Grazer. I felt he was the emotional center of the entire film. He's always been a talented kid. This movie is a testament to that. I felt he really brought it, but it is also a testament to the fact that the emotional center of a movie like this is when they're not superheroes. They're just normal kids. And that also feeds into what I appreciate about Asher Angel playing Billy Batson in this film, because in the previous film, the contrast between Billy Batson, Asher Angel, and how Zachary Levi acted, it was too vast. They didn't feel like the same person. That gap, that contrast, it's still there, but you can tell Asher Angel is trying his best to act like Zachary Levi more in this film than he did in the previous film. It's like they listen to the fan feedback, they proceed accordingly. I appreciate that. Weird thing is, Billy Batson is largely absent in this film. I mean, he's in it, but not as much as you'd think. Not as much as the previous film. Most of the time when you see the character, he's Shazam. He's Zachary Levi. He's the adult superhero version. There are even scenes where he and his Shazam fam, they're all hanging out in their Shazam cave. And they're in their superhero Shazam, well, I guess it's not outfits. They're in their adult superhero forms, but they're just planning and hanging out. No reason to be. And I felt that did cost the movie something. The emotional center point of the characters is best seen when they're kids, you know, when they're in their youthful form and they're dealing with their problems. When they're in their Shazam form for most of the movie, it loses a bit of that contrast. It feels less like they're kids who get to become superheroes and more like they're godlike superheroes who sometimes become kids. And that was actually the positive part of the review, because the rest of the movie was just, it was generic superhero stuff. You don't really have cool or relatable villains in this movie. Granted, you could make the villains people don't really know or care about. You can make them cool in the movie, but they just didn't. Generally love Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu, but they came across as generic 2004 comic book movie villains dropped in 2023. From there, the rest of the movie is bringing back characters they killed off in the previous movie that they want to bring back for this movie. Also, it's a flow and ebb of they have their powers, they don't, because they have to nerf the Shazam fam. Otherwise, the baddies would be taken out pretty quickly. That's what I mean when I say sequelitis. It's not like this movie was planned from the first one. If it was, don't tell me it was. Let me blissfully believe that the mess of a sequel came about because of the success of the first movie and it wasn't planned. I use the word generic because it's the only word to describe my general feeling that this movie left me with. Generic villains summon a whole horde of generic CGI monsters for the last act and I didn't care. Didn't care about the CGI monsters, didn't care about the villains that summoned them. And there are some emotional moments in this movie, even near the end. I did appreciate they were there. I was just bored by the time I saw them. Now I do appreciate the fact this movie doesn't rely on the general DCEU, which is now non-existent, but it doesn't rely on the universe to pitch and sell the movie. It operates how I feel a comic book movie should operate. Operate within your own contained story. Know that it's part of a larger universe as a whole. Have a couple Easter eggs in there that reminds the audience that it's part of that, but they don't have to watch every TV show, movie. It doesn't feel like homework. I did appreciate Shazam for that. Granted, there is that overall feeling when a couple of tie-ins are referenced and are shown, you're like, what's the point? Luckily, these moments don't plague the film too badly, but you can't help but notice. You can't help but think about it. You can't help but when you see these moments, think to yourself, what is the point? Look, in the end, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, as someone who loved the first Shazam movie, I was really disappointed with this sequel. As a movie that deals largely with magic, it was surprisingly devoid of it. It almost feels like they didn't know what made the first Shazam movie special and click with audiences who liked it. So they were just grasping at straws for the sequel. You know what's funny is I don't even hate this movie. It sounds like I do, but I don't. I just kind of nothing it. It's the kind of movie I'm not going to remember. Not in T-1 day. Yep, already forgot. All right, so Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below. Let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.